is 7 o'clock. On Tuesday, 3 December, let's call the regular Board of Trustees meeting of the Village of North Hudson to order. And we'll have our invocation. Father, the worries of each day are ever around us. Conflict with both within and without threatens the peace we so desperately want and seek. Father, we come to you with open hearts, seeking your guidance and being content that you will have given us as a nation. Guard us, our hearts, O Lord, so that we will be faithful to you, and let peace of your presence surround us each and every day, especially in this joyous season. Roll call.
Trustee Head.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
O'Brien. Berglund. Here. Rhodey.
Here.
Standifer.
Here.
President Wecken.
Here.
Trustee Zappa.
Here.
Okay. And next item on the agenda is a review of the minutes from the 5 November meeting. Is there any additions and/or corrections?
I'll move to approve the minutes from the Tuesday, November 5th, 2013 board meeting.
Thank you, Colleen.
Second.
Thank you, George. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Number 3, comments from the floor. Opportunity for residents to make the board aware of topics or issues, opportunities not on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that has something that's not on the agenda? So everybody's here for a purpose. I like that. Okay. Next item on the agenda, attorney flat rate fee agreement approval requested. This was discussed at the Finance Committee, and what we're going to is, rather than the billable hours, we will be going to a flat rate for the year. It helps us with budgeting and also gives us, I think, it will give us a much better access, for nervous times with our attorneys, so that we can, get the village business taken care of.
Mr. President, I'll move a question forward for discussion.
Okay.
I move approval of the movement to a flat fee of $1,000 per month for our legal services with Bucky Norman.
Second.
Thank you, Darrell. Was it Mark?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Any further discussion?
Could I ask a question,
Sure.
Terry? I just didn't notice for board meetings. Is that included?
That's included.
All right, thank you.
Okay. George, Colleen, anyone? Excuse me. Okay, let's see, that's kind of a budget thing, so Ted?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, Paul? Sorry, I didn't see you down there. You're losing weight like crazy. It's like, what the hell? Yes?
Yeah.
Mark?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Number 5, employee health insurance selection approval requested. This one, just background, the village, we've had insurance through Anthem, and as everyone knows, with costs and of insurance going up most all over the planet, or at least in the United States, Gloria did a great job of researching and finding us an alternative to our present insurance, which will save us, was it 6% over last year?
It'll increase by 6%.
Increase, all right.
Instead of 13%.
All right, so it's saving us.
13.5.
Good work.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's no motion requested. We've already taken this as we approved in the last one.
But it does save us about $4,500. I think
Yeah.
should be made.
It's another saving. So, again, that's kudos to Gloria for her diligence in that, taking care of that. And now, the item that everybody waits for this time of year, 2014 proposed budget. And we are, for the proposed budget, we have to open a public hearing, and I would so open the public hearing for comments from anyone regarding the 2014 budget for the village.
I would suggest, Mr. President, that the administrator give her budget presentation, which may prompt some questions.
I think that's a great suggestion, Darrell. Thank you. Gloria, the stage is yours.
Thank you. This document that you see here is actually the publication that would have went to the paper. It has changed slightly since we put it in the paper because of the two motions that the board just made. One was the $7,000 that we would save on attorney fees, and the other was the health insurance. So, great job, guys. $11,500 would be taken off the property tax levy. So this is the published budget, and we are allowed by statute to make changes as long as they're minimal, and that really is a minimal amount. Also, it's not going up, it's going down. So this is what the new one looks like. I would like to address clarification in the news article that was published last week or 2 weeks ago regarding the purchase of the vehicles. They are not part of the 2014 budget. The monies had been saved away in an account to purchase it, but we needed to amend the 2013 budget. So if you see on this right here, this amount, this 100,426, that is makes up a squad, a public works truck, and a furnace that needed to be replaced in the village hall. And those monies were set aside already, so that there wouldn't be any reflection on the budget because of that. Then the next thing I wanted to bring your attention to, besides the fact that this amount here has been reduced by $11,500, is also that we are bringing forward $25,322 from carryover from this year to reduce the budget or the levy in order to keep this number down by that $25,000. Which in turns, you'll see that there's a reduction in expenses under general government that would make up the attorney fees and the health insurance, and you'll see that for public safety. The insurance had a reverse effect under the public works just because of the different age groupings. Okay, this next document is shows what the mill rate would be based on that, on the levy being set at the $1,479,097, and it also includes the state, the county, the village, Hudson School, the Wisconsin VOTEC, and the school credit. And what our new overall levy would be is 16.2%. This also, what this shows here is our value, our land value, and our personal property for a total of the assessed value for the village. It also shows what the state equalized value is, and that calculation is what makes up our equalized value percentage. What I also wanted to bring attention to is our property tax levy for the last couple of years and what the changes had been. We've tried to keep the levy limit flat, and in doing so, every time we would go out to do a project and get a loan, that loan amount would be added on to our budget, but we weren't increasing the levy, so that really was reducing our operating revenue. And you'll see here, like in 2010, we had additional loans of 27,000. We did add that to the tax roll. This, in 2011, we had an increase of 16,000, but we had loans of 33,000. So we actually didn't levy a 16,795 that year. In 2012, there was additional loans of 74,000. In order to cover that, we didn't increase the levy again, we kept it flat. We had to reduce staff, and that's where there was a layoff. In 2013, the only increase that we had was the net new construction, and we had additional loans of 31,000. So there really, we could have added 38,000 to the, no, there was 38,000 added to the tax roll at that point. No, there was 6. I'm sorry, I said that incorrectly. There was not. Also in 2013 and in 14, the cost of the revaluation is coming out, and so there was an additional 32,000 in our budget for that evaluation to happen.
So much tension watching that cursor.
And basically, I just put together a historical look at the mill rate, what it's been in the past. In 2003, it was 5.8. We've kept it pretty low coming forward, and through 2012, it was at 3.92. A lot of that had to do with good financial decisions that the board made in refinancing and getting our loans wrapped into bonds. Did anyone have any other any questions at this point, or?
Doesn't look like it. Gloria, I want to thank you for the excellent job that you've done this year. I mean, you give credit to the board, but you do the lion's share of the work, and I know it's not easy to do with the way our, the little village that with our tax base and everything like that. But I want to thank you very much for the efforts you've made, and and I think taxpayers realize that too.
And I enjoy working here, and I enjoy working with our residents, so thank you.
Okay. So, there is no other public comments. I guess we can, any comments from the board? Okay, so I would declare the public hearing closed for the 2014 proposed budget. And I would like to make the resolution number 2013-08, resolution adopting the 2014 annual budget and establishing the property tax levy of $1,479,097.00.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. And there was no further discussion before. Is there any discussion now?
Just one point of clarification, that does include the village attorney's flat fee.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, that was all part of our master plan to save us money. So, let's see, we need a roll call. George?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
2014 budget is approved unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Detroit.
And thank you for the finance committee. It was, it's never a fun time of year for any of us. Okay, that's done. Item number 8 is 2014 mobile home park license for Pamela Zappa. Approval requested.
Mr. President, I move to approve the 2014 mobile home trailer park permit for Pamela Zappa.
Thank you, Daryl.
Second.
Second, thank you, Colleen. Any further discussion, or any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, election inspector appointments for 2014-2015 term. Approval requested. Every 2 years, I believe it is, we need, during elections, we have election witnesses for both of the major parties in the state. We have been presented the documents. The board has those. Is there a motion to accept these appointments?
I'll move to appoint the following Democratic election inspectors: Karen Crowley, John Borup, Mary Ann Hanley, Jean Schneider, Margaret Wopat, Sandra Ludke, Stephanie Price, Deb Monacan, Kathy Roberts, and alternates Mary Kay Hunt, Colleen O'Connell, Joe Cawthorn, and Bonnie Bruner for the term of January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2015.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion for the Democratic election inspector signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Second motion, anyone?
Move to appoint the following Republican election inspectors: Meredith Berg, Betty Goodwin, Margaret Webb, Sandra Whaler, Carol Worrell, Nancy Walsh, Jolene Muir, Joyce Law, Catherine Long, Cecilia Phillips, Margaret Webb, Teresa Matthews, Raymond Matthews, and Cheryl Anderson for the term of January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2015.
Thank you, Colleen. Second. Thank you, George. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion for the Republican election inspector signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, adoption of increased court fees discussion. And approval requested. Oh, need a motion before we invite the judge up?
It depends on the see.
What was the
Do
question?
we need a motion before we have ask the?
Strictly speaking, under parliamentary procedure, yes, but you generally don't do that, so you can do it however you want, really.
Okay. Well, Ben, since you were kind enough to come down, would you like to step up to the podium and let us know?
Yes, I will, thank you. I was here a very short time ago and had you approve a new bond schedule. However, since that time, the legislature has authorized the increase in fees to additional $10. So the range is from $15 to $38 now versus $15 to $28. And our current bond schedule is based with a $28 court cost. Based upon our history for the last couple of years, that would generate about an additional $4,500 to $5,000 a year if you were to approve that additional increase. And maybe as a sort of a note on what really goes into a forfeiture in municipal court, the amount can be fairly small, but it adds up over time because there's $26 or 26% of that goes to the state for training. $13 goes to, let's see, that is $13 is not for the automation increase. I think it's for training purposes also, and there's a $10 that goes to the jail for jail fees. When you add all that up, even if I assess someone a forfeiture of only $5, it goes up to $57.30 when you add all those costs. If you approve it now, a $5 forfeiture would actually total $67.30. So that's a decision that you need to make, and if you approve the additional $10 in court fees, then we would redo the bail bond schedule, and the officers would have the new bond schedule to write with starting next month. Are there any questions about the bond fees?
I see that the authorization passed the legislature almost totally unanimously. There was one negative vote.
Yes, this is one of the few places where the local government can actually get some money back, because most of the money from these forfeitures is going to the state or the county. The same thing with surcharges. While you have a $435 surcharge on DUI, that all goes to the state. If an ignition interlock device is ordered, there's a $50 fee that's assessed to that. That all goes to the county. So none of that comes back to the village. This is one of the places where the village does get back some of the dollars.
Mr. President, I move approval of an increase in the court fees by the suggested $10.
Second. Mark? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, or is this is net budget, so all in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's see. Court fees. Next item, and Ben, I guess you can give us a little history again on the Ferry Landing Park hours. I guess there's been
I just wanted to call to your attention, I read in the paper last week, I believe it was, about the resident who appeared and talked to you about citations that he had gotten that he thought were unfair. And while he didn't articulate it, he was kind of talking about selective enforcement. He apparently lives down in that area, so he sees a lot of cars that are coming and going, pulling boats after the hours that are posted. He also sees people driving across the ice to Anderson Windows in the wintertime using that road. So his argument is, why did he get a ticket sitting on that road when all these other people are going by and they are not being fined? That's the selective enforcement argument. And while there's always discretion with the police, and normally you hear this in a speeding case where someone says, hey, I'm traveling the same speed as the other 5 guys, why did you stop me? And that's kind of a case of selective enforcement. If you can make it, it's a tough case to make. But it's one that is putting the police department kind of out there for criticism as a result. They can go in the park at any time they want to, certainly, and I did a little tour around Hudson and North Hudson. Hudson is almost uniformly 10 to 10. So 6 in the morning to 10 at night, except Prospect Park, which has earlier hours in the winter in which they close. And none of them are gated except White Camp Park, and White Camp Park has double gates, one of the reasons being that they have a road that leads up to the water tower. So there's a very good reason for them to have that closed. The gate here at Fair Landing Park, I think, was closed maybe a couple of years when I was on the board 30 years ago, and I had it closed for safety reasons because I didn't want to expose the village to a lawsuit if someone went through the ice. But I think there was such a fear about that Anderson Window employees wanted to continue to use the road, so it was reopened, and I don't think the gate's ever been closed since, so maybe there's really no purpose for it being there. But I just wanted to call your attention to this, that the person is making 2 arguments. One, he's made the argument that he shouldn't have been receiving a ticket because he was on the road and the road is not part of the park. I don't know how that's going to be resolved or if the village has resolved that. I told him that he had until this month, next week, when the next court session is, to prove that it's not part of the park. And if he can do that, well, then his case would be dismissed. If it is part of the park, then I think the village board needs to let us know exactly how far it extends. And if it's not part of the park, are the rocks there that are put there really, I think, to protect people who are making turns and launching boats? sometimes referred to as the landscape rocks. If someone's sitting on the landscape rock, are they in the park or are they out of the park? So I leave all of those decisions to the wisdom of the board, and I would have liked to present this to the Public Safety Committee meeting, but I didn't get this information out until after their meeting, so you may want to refer it to them, or, but if you've already made a decision on the park, I'll be happy to entertain that at the next court session on the 11th of December. Any questions on
Before
any
the
of that?
board responds, Your Honor, can I make a question maybe, or a comment?
Certainly.
The case is still essentially in active litigation then at this time, and there's been no decision by the court, and the defendant still has the opportunity to bring more evidence to you and present that evidence and so forth, right?
Yes, it's kind of a contingent matter. I did find him guilty unless he can show that the road is not part of the park. And I gave him about 6 weeks to go out and do the research for that and try to find out if in fact there is support for his position.
Sure. My comment then to the board would be that while the case is in litigation, I don't think it's appropriate for the legislative branch to interfere with the judicial branch and with an ongoing litigation. And the board is the legislative branch, and, you're the judicial branch, and I don't think it would be appropriate for the board to interfere with that case. As far as, determining policy, what the park should be in the future and things like that, of course, that's the board's role. But to actively make some sort of decision while that case hasn't been decided yet seems inappropriate to me. Does that seem to be a fair comment to you, or do you differ?
I can see your point. If I continue the case for 3 months, do you have a different position then?
I probably would have the same position. Again, I don't think it's appropriate for the legislative branch to interfere in an active case. That would be my opinion, yeah.
And then that leaves me with the decision of whether to dismiss the citation because I believe the gentleman, or to find him guilty and let him appeal if he chooses to appeal. That'll be my decision.
Sure, yeah. I guess that would be your, judges also have the discretion, there's discretion all the way through a proceeding from the police officer in the first initial situation on down to you. But that really is your decision, I think, and not the board's decision.
And that's fine, but I would like the board to address the larger issue then, and sometime in the future, set a policy on the road and on the park boundaries. Otherwise, I would be inclined to do the same as I did with the parking signs there for a long time, which were not very clear at all. They were in the wrong direction. They didn't tell you really much of anything except to cite a ordinance, and I don't think that most of the people have the village ordinances at hand to be able to understand if they can and cannot park there. So I simply was not entertaining those, and the police department quit writing them. And,
Mr. President, I have a question, and I'm not sure if it's directed to Terry or to the judge, so I don't quite understand. This seems to hinge on whether the road is or is not in the park. Is that it?
That is what the resident is saying. He says, I'm on the road, standing on the road. That's not part of the park, so I can't be violating park hours.
I must admit that I'm confused as to whether the road is or is not in the park. That would seem to me it either is or it isn't. I don't know what the answer is, but it would seem to me that it either is or isn't.
No, that's a
I mean, you
question
can't be sort of pregnant, it's one or the other. So, I mean, it's either is or isn't.
The historical record is a little unclear. I mean, there were deeds where the property came to us. There's some survey maps from 1982. I think Melissa knows more about this than I do, that clearly show that came to us as part of the whole parcel and as part of the park originally. There was a gate there that we opened and closed at times, depending upon whether we wanted to or not. This is all historical. As the judge even alluded to that we used to close the gate, and sometimes we have, sometimes we haven't. So, but again, it's sort of a question of giving our opinion now about whether it's in the park or not in the park. Is kind of like providing evidence to this court case, and I'm a little concerned about that.
I understand your point there, and I think that's a valid point. but I don't see what the gate has to do with whether or not it's in the park or not in the park. The legal description ought to indicate, from the standpoint of the description of the land, it either is or isn't.
It is in the park from the legal description of the deed from
Well,
when
then
the
that seems
village
pretty
received
clear.
it.
I also have a comment or a question that I'll just throw out there, and one of you guys is gonna have to, or you both don't want to answer it. Is it germane what the charge actually and what the citation was for?
The citation was issued for a violation of the park hours. I believe the citation was issued sometime after midnight and the park closed at 9:30. There are, by the way, two different signs at Ferry Landing Park. The big one, the landscape, the architectural sign, shows an 8 o'clock opening time, while the smaller sign show an 8:30. So there should be some consistency drawn there too.
And what time was the citation issued?
After midnight, I believe.
So there's no question about if it's considered park, there is no question that.
And really, the burden is on the defendant in this case, because I told him that he was found guilty unless he can show by the 11th of December that it's not part of the park.
Thank you, Ben.
And I would also comment that one of the reasons that I took this unusual approach with this defendant was because I happened to be here at the board meeting presenting the bond schedule when the subject came up about the road into the shop yards and the improvements to that road. And apparently, I understood that that road is determined to be a private road and not a village street. As a result of that, I said, maybe the park road isn't really part of the village either, or part of the park. So I'm sort of dumping this back to the village board to make a determination of whether the park road is part of the park, or it's, I don't know what.
Again, I would say for this particular case, it should be decided on the facts that are before it. I mean, I'm not sure that it makes a difference, really. Again, I don't want to get involved in the case. I'm not the prosecutor, but the village has the right to set hours on a road as well. I don't think they don't have that right, if that would make sense. So if they've got hours for down there, whether it's a right-of-way or a road or part of the park, I'm not even sure that's germane to the case, because the village has the right to close a road under the right circumstances, if that would protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public and property.
I understand your point, but I also think that from the general public, that the village has an obligation to let them know clearly whether or not, unless that gate's closed, which it usually isn't, is the road open or is it closed, and can they use the road or can they not?
Sure.
And I'm not concerned about this case because I have made the decision already. It's up to the defendant to show the otherwise. But I'm looking at future potential cases, and I'm also bringing to your attention the argument of selective enforcement that other people may make.
Can't we just table this until after the case and then hammer it down
I
then?
think that's exactly the right way to handle it, yeah.
There we go.
I think you should take up the judge's comments, but not tonight. That would be my opinion.
And
As far
that's
as
perfectly
hours, something
fine.
like that, we can run this to the
Just-
park board and
Yeah, redo the whole thing, just
and
figure it
have a
out.
recommendation
Yep.
from them.
She likes that stuff. There, she's already smiling.
Well, it really ought to go to the appropriate standing committee for a recommendation back to the board, is what
Yes.
I would think the procedure ought to be.
So it should go to the park for the hours, is that what we're?
Well, probably park.
Okay, so we will,
Does it go to public?
we will table or,
Public welfare,
Refer
public
it to the
safety, I
park
mean,
committee and
public
take it.
safety.
yeah, table it and refer it to
So
park
we'll get
committee.
chance to-
This is more than just park hours. This is a determination on whether that road is part of the park.
Well,
Yeah, I
right,
think that'll be a
there's,
part of the discussion, wouldn't it?
there's gotta be a determination of ingress, egress, is it a right of way? It does, cause this has come up before at this board meeting when I first came on, right? Who maintains it? Currently, we're maintaining it. Should we be? Right? DNR might have a question about that as well. Down to a point.
Well, if it's on the park, I mean, if it's in the.
I think it's
the
village
plat-
land, right down to the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah,
I would disagree with that. It's not down to the water.
Village property till the high water mark, you said?
Yes.
why we're not allowed, there's been quite a few residents who come to us wanting a blacktop or concrete approach instead of being the sand. We're not
Can't do
allowed
it.
to do that because it's under DNR
Yep.
jurisdiction. Anything, you know, from the high water mark down the water is under DNR jurisdiction. The road itself is maintained by the village, including we plow it during the wintertime for a public safety issue, because that is one of the places the fire department has to go in and do an ice rescue or something else. That is one of the land.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's why I plow it during the winters.
Doesn't matter, having spent 30 years at the U.S. Army Corps, many years, it's the ordinary high water mark, and it's much higher than you think. And the DNR will tell you that.
Higher than the 1965 floods, yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jim.
Ben.
Thank you. Okay, table 2. And we'll put that on the agenda for park board.
We're not meeting in December.
It should go, I believe it should go to the park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Park board for, hours determination and, I mean, and we've got to kind of decide on, all right, the open, closed, portion of that, I guess, with the, because, shift work of Anderson's, that road saves a lot of guys a lot of money, a lot of time.
Specifically, what we should do, and we don't have an action item, we should vote to refer this to committee. Motion to table is really a motion to kill. We should refer this to committee.
Okay.
I will move to refer this matter to the park committee.
Thank you, Joe. Second, thank you. And all in favor of moving it to the park committee, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you.
I thought for sure you'd oppose that, Colleen.
Colleen Melissa has a lot of the background and the documents and everything that you'll need to review this.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, new business from the board or staff. President's comments. I'll try to be brief. We have, last month I talked about, we were hoping the residents would try to wear brighter clothing in the evening so we can be seen. Today, and as we move into winter with snow events, I notice a lot of people, we'd like them to use their headlights. I'm sure the officers would like that, because, the snow today was in different places, you get down to, limited visibility, and I don't know if our state has the law that you have to have headlights on, but they don't enforce it across the river, and I know it's on over there. But please use your headlights when it's snowing, and if you would, the pavement is not dry. Do not pull out in front of folks. We had numerous people today talk about, I had guys just pulling out in front of me, and there was a lot of near misses and stuff. So we would like that, if for the protection of one and all, we don't want any issues. Next item. We always like to, hopefully shop locally at Christmas time, and we are, again, we have a limited edition, centennial cookbook for the village of North Hudson. This was a deal we put out last year for our 100th anniversary, and it's a great cookbook. I use it a lot. I might even have a couple of my recipes in here. It, and it's something local that you could share with your family or friends. It's got a really great stand in it, so when you're cooking or baking, that you can set it up so you're not getting it all full of flour, sugar, whatever else you're using. So if you have any, if you're getting down to the last minute shopping, please stop by the hall. These are $10. It's a steal of a deal. They were 20, I think, when we ran them in the centennial, so please do that. And my last comment is I hope everyone has a happy, safe, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, since we won't be back in this August body until next year. Gloria.
And to add to the cookbook, there's some great historical tidbits in there. What I'd like to talk about is that Village has been set up to do point and pay, and we will be able to process now credit and debit cards for property tax, special assessments, licenses, permits, personal property taxes, and pet licenses. Is that gonna come through?
It will.
Okay.
Right now.
Uh-oh, she lost her train of thought.
Okay, this must be the second side of it, isn't it? This charge, there's no charge to the village for providing this service, but there is a charge to the user, and it is 2.39% for taxes and 2.5% for the other items, with a minimum of a $2 fee. So I'd also like to mention, if you haven't been on our website lately, Melissa has done a great job on getting it updated, and she's got a tab that's called How Do I? And when you go to that tab, you can drill down into these different items, like obtaining a burning permit, reporting street light outages, information about property assessment. The site looks wonderful, Melissa, so thank you.
Anything else?
That is it.
Melissa, you got anything for us?
Just another reminder that the reevaluation process is ongoing in the village still. It will be for quite a few months yet. Hopefully they may have to finish up in the spring, depending on the snow. I have still been getting quite a few calls, people confirming that the person at their door is with the
It is a little weird.
office,
They
and
just
that
show
is
up.
fine. They can certainly call me to verify. The revaluation notice is still posted on the website if anybody has any questions.
And they have a right to ask for an identification,
Yes.
and they have those.
Yes, they should have ID from Bomar Appraisals on them, and they also should have a letter that is signed by me.
Very good.
Thank you.
And one thing that I think we have an election coming up next year, and is people can take out papers we have 3 trustee spots.
3 trustee positions are open, and the circulation paperwork, you can do that now as of December 1st. You need to file a campaign registration statement prior to circulating nomination papers, and they are due back to the village hall by, I believe it is January 7th. All the paperwork is due back, and anybody can contact me for more information.
Thank you. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is Plan Commission. I imagine that's why we have people in the gallery. Let's see, chair update. I don't see Mr. Meisner here. So, I guess, let's see, I was hoping he was going to show up.
I can make a couple comments, Dan.
Okay.
I was not
Appreciate
there
it.
either, but Attorney Gary Bakke was there in my place, and Melissa, I think you were there, right?
Yes.
There were 2 separate applications, and one was for CNA Auto to do an auto repair shop, and you've got that in front of you, and the Planning Commission recommendation is to approve that. So if anybody has any other questions, is somebody here from
CNA.
CNA Auto? Okay, so CNA Auto is here tonight if anybody has any questions for them. But again, the Planning Commission did go through this and recommended to approve.
With the 4 conditions suggested by the planning commission. Why not? You want me to read all these?
You don't have to, just
Okay.
reference the
I'll
sheet.
reference the conditions approved by the planning commission then.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Paul. Further discussion?
Would this be an appropriate time for, I believe the C here stands for Chad? For him to give a little plug for his operation, perhaps tell us about it?
I have no problem with that.
It's up to you, man.
Okay.
And is
I'm the A.
You're the A.
I am the A.
Oh, could you step up the mic and
I sure will.
appreciate it?
Hi, everybody. My name is Ashley. I work for CNA Auto. We have, we'd like to start the auto repair shop down there on Monroe Street. We started the business in 2012 up in Deer Park, and it's a great hit. We really try to focus on helping people as much as we can. We've gotten a lot of complaints from other people bringing in vehicles that other shops just aren't doing correct things. We actually just had one today that was quite a thing. Another shop kind of put a fuel pump in wrong, and it's quite interesting. So, but we are hoping to help people as much as we can.
Appreciate that. Okay, any comments from anyone else on the board? Thank you, and we wish you much success.
Thank you.
Okay.
We got a vote.
We got a vote. Okay, we got a motion. We got a vote. All in favor of approving the plan, the recommendations?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Dan, can I make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for first-rate mobile repair with the conditions suggested by the planning commission?
Thank you, Mark. Second. Paul. And this is
I would make one comment on this. What are you Monty? Yeah. What they asked for included on-site repair where trucks would be brought in and repaired on-site and so forth. And the language in our ordinance clearly prohibits that. So what the planning commission did was they made a recommendation to approve the mobile repair to where he has vehicles that go out and fix trucks out on the road, and that part is approved, and to use the shop area for that. And that if he wants to do on-site repair where he's bringing trucks in there, he'll just have to get a variance. And a variance is not before this board. It goes to the Board of Appeals. So it's just something that's not permitted.
So this is something, Terry, that we'd be able to do in the future?
If he can get a variance from the Board of Appeals.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, wouldn't it be odd
is he
bringing so
asking
many
for
trucks down to
approval
the
of
shop
the
yard?
mobile side
Imagine
of
that,
it, though?
bringing a semi
Yes,
into the
absolutely.
shop.
So what the board recommended to us tonight is to approve the business with the conditions that Mark cited.
No, it's not.
Excuse me.
Okay.
And I think that's very straightforward, and if, I don't, unless people have questions.
Well, I'd ask are you Monty? Monty be given the same opportunity that CNA had.
certainly. Figure you're gonna trip him, Mark, I think. He's avoiding the chief. It's like,
You can say you went around the law.
Hi, I'm Monty Salzvig. My business is First Rate Mobile Repair, and I've been doing this for 5 years now. Part of it is a mobile service where I go out on the side of the road, 24-hour repair service, and do breakdowns for semis, tractor trailers. And maintenance at some of the yards over in the cities. And hopefully, if I can get the variance to go through, we can get some trucks and trailers down, get some repairs going down at the shop too. So that's pretty much all I got.
Monty, where exactly is your shop?
It's the building number. It's 400 Monroe Street. It's Colin Thorpe's building.
Oh, okay.
Colin Thorpe's.
Thanks. That's all I needed.
Okay,
So,
thank you, Monty, and
all right.
we'll have a vote to
Aye.
approve.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Monty, we wish you the same success, and your neighbors down there, so please get along. Okay, thank you very much, and,
Just make a quick note too, it is going to Board of Zoning Appeals next Tuesday, a
Okay.
week from today, so he is on the calendar for this month, yeah.
great. You guys are very efficient. Okay, you guys don't have to stick around for this wonderful meeting, but you're more than welcome to stay. No, have a great weekend and Merry Christmas. Yep.
Thank you.
Number 14 is Personnel and Finance Committee.
Dan, can I move to approve the November 2013 non-reoccurring claims totaling $279,758.72?
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, George. Discussion. Quietly. So that's a budget and roll call vote. Paul?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You.
Dan, can I move to approve the 2013 carryover for village employee comp time and vacation days balances forward to 2014 as presented in the sheet given to us tonight?
Okay. Second, thank you, Colleen. Discussion. This is, it's just a carryover. It's a normal routine thing that we do every year to allow our staff to carry hours, comp hours and stuff, saves us money on overtime and gives them a little more time to enjoy days off. Let's see, that one doesn't need. All in favor of the motion to allow the comp time carryover, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay. Contracts. Let's see.
Mr. President, I think there's only one contract, and that's the animal control contract. I would motion to approve the animal control contract between Kathy Pellner and the Village of North Hudson, effective January 1st, 2014, effective until June 30th, 2014, with all of the covenants and agreements set forth in the
Second.
contract.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Mark. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of extending the contract, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Mr. President, we did not get the animal impounding facility contract in order. There are some changes being made to it, and we hope to have it for next month.
Thank you, Ted. Let's see, letter D. Government, general government copier replacement lease, approval requested.
Dan,
As-
can I move, I'll make a motion to authorize the village administrator to enter in a 48-month lease agreement with E.O. Johnson for the lease of a color copier with payment and maintenance agreement of not more than $2,500.
It should be $193 a month.
Yeah, well, the
That's not what
original,
mine
the
says.
motion from finance, we changed it to
Oh.
$193 a month. Just
$193
to
a
be
month.
a little easier to
Gotcha.
accounting. Okay. Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you, Darrell. Any further discussion? I'll say that, you know, as you can see us pawing through piles of paper here, I think, you know, we we use a lot of the copier, so this is something that the staff desperately needs to keep doing their jobs.
I would
All
like
in favor?
clarification. As you've indicated, I was flipping through the pages. I had done the arithmetic too. In the material, the issue statement presented to us, were there changes to this issue statement and the suggested motion? And that's
Yes.
$2,500 down at the bottom?
That's an annualized figure.
Understand.
In order to have it read consistently, since we're doing a 48-month lease,
Yeah,
the 48-month lease amount of $161 plus 1/12 of the maintenance contract is $193 a month.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Staniver.
Let's see, that's a spending, so, or no, yeah,
This is contract.
oh, yeah, contract, so, George?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
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 thank you all, carried. Let's see, staff evaluations, we tabled that. We adjusted the staff evaluations, we will not discuss that tonight. Emergency management director position, offer and wages, discussion, possible recommendations.
Mr. President, I move to authorize the village administrator to offer our chief the combined position of chief of police and emergency management director as outlined in the attached offer of employment letter dated 3 December 2013.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, George. Any further discussion?
Just a quick question, was the only change made from the one that was in our book to the one that we received here, the deletion of the word "be" in that paragraph on benefits? Is there anything else that was a change?
And added the motion, the suggested motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Any other discussion? Let's see, that's kind of an adding costs, so, Paul? Yea or
Yes.
nay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations, Chief, for your extra duties.
Yeah.
More work.
And for, your benevolence and, yeah, may we never have to have use your talents and resources in that. Okay, working budget line item, transfer, garage door opener.
It was just a
Nothing
Just
to
an
do.
update, not necessarily, okay. Public Works, is there a chair update or any,
Brief update, we are virtually done with the Shipyards project, and I think it's gone well from almost everybody's perspective, with one possible exception, and that is there was one property owner that still has some concerns that seem unique to that property owner, and so at the next meeting of the Public Works Committee, we have agreed to specifically put that discussion on the agenda, and we will have some wrap-up discussion with that property owner. I don't expect any significant action items, if any, to come out of that, but we will give that property owner a chance in a public forum to vent some concerns, and we'll deal with them. That property owner was at our last meeting, and since it was not an agenda item, I just was uncomfortable in having lengthy discussion with issues, but we will do it at the next meeting. The one action item that we did approve at the last Public Works Committee and are recommending to the village board is the issue of the skid loader broom trade-in. We have had for some time a broom that gets used very little, and this goes on the front of a skid steer, but it gets used very little. Public Works is desirous of having, instead of that broom, a post hole auger with 2 bits, and so we did approve the trade-in of that broom. And, Mr. President, I would move to approve the skid loader boom trade-in and purchase of a Land Pride SA-35 post hole digger with 2 bits, a 9-inch bit and a 15-inch bit from Value Implement at a cost not to exceed $330. I'll explain that as soon as it's seconded.
Second.
The explanation is that once it's traded in, the net difference of the trade-in of the broom that we've got and the receipt of the post hole digger plus the bits is only the net $330.
correct. I'm just curious, I mean, how many post holes do we dig in here?
One. Traffic signs, plus you always use from our people in that county. Quite a few, enough that it makes you backwards, especially in college.
No, and that's, but I mean, I was just curious, I mean, like I know a lot of contractors and stuff like that rent, equipment that they don't use a lot, I was just wondering if that was
This
discussed.
thing's never,
We talked
you'll
about
never
it.
have to replace this thing. It's done. You got it. It's
Well, all of those mailbox posts that we clip off during the wintertime, too.
all of them. Listen to you. Theoretically, we
They
could
put
use
up my
it to
fence
up
for
new
me. It worked
signs as
good.
well. Yeah, this winter they might, right?
Okay, I was just curious, I mean.
Good piece of equipment.
I know a lot of people,
You know, obviously, that drone just sits in our way or anything else and it takes up, we don't have that much space in there.
no, that was just a question, I just, I'm like, man, we don't use the broom, are we gonna use the postal digger, I mean, so. Okay, spending issue, or is there any further discussion? George?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Okay. Let's gotta figure out some holes I want to
Oh, come on, listen to you.
dig some holes, okay. Let's see, that's everything for Public Works, Public Safety.
Nothing to update, Stan.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Sure.
Take tutors.
Absolutely, Chief, you can have minutes anytime you want.
Oh, I appreciate that, but just wanted to bring the attention, because I know that during some of our public safety meetings, and this came up between public safety, we have a public safety meeting next Thursday, and we won't see the board again until after the first of the year, but between December 13th and December 21st, the North Hudson Police Department will be participating in the Booze and Belts mobilization, so citizens may see additional enforcement being taken on seatbelt violations and operating while intoxicated violations. I know that the board and public safety has asked that if we start to see increased activity in the law, in traffic stops and whatnot, and people start getting citations for seatbelts that maybe we haven't written in abundance over the past year, that we make them aware of it. And so as much as I can in advance, we're, I guess, not hiding this fact that between December 13th and December 21st, that will be the direction that the department will be looking for enforcement on traffic violations for OWIs and for seatbelt usage. So just to bring that to the board's attention going forward.
That's a statewide?
It's actually nationwide, but yeah, it's
Nationwide?
pushed by the state under the Zero in Wisconsin push to try to limit the deaths on Wisconsin roadways. And this is one of the ways that the state DOT feels that it can help in that pattern and to get local law enforcement involved.
Strange they didn't run it right through the New Year's holiday, I mean.
Well, I think that a lot of departments will get grants to have extra patrols out. We do not. We just have our typical patrol, and so I think that they realize that it's hard to staff grants over a holiday season
Yeah,
as well.
there you go.
So
Okay.
that's probably why.
Good call.
Thank you.
While you're up there, Chief, I want to thank you very much for the documentation you gave us on residential traffic safety survey. Quite enlightening.
65 miles per hour.
That was one outlier, and we were not able, just to bring the viewing
That's why I was
audience.
giving you an opportunity to
Thanks.
talk about it.
And it's in the information from the public safety, but we put together, I believe there were 10 locations throughout the summer that we put the speed trailer. That speed trailer does take in information from vehicles that are passing by it. Officer Moody did a great job of compiling all of that data and giving us some facts. One of the things that's left out of that particular study, because we're not allowed to put the speed trailer on Highway 35 or 6th Street North without a permit from the state, instead of jumping through the hoops, we decided just to use it on some of our residential back streets. So there is no information in that study on our main highway where most of our traffic violations take place. But on our back streets, the one analysis that is on the sheet in front of you, I believe, says that is at 80, I don't have it in front of me, 87% of our motoring public is obeying our speed laws, which leaves a 13%. But the other study that I had him do that's not listed there, because that study shows 26 miles an hour and above, and I asked him to put together numbers for 31 miles an hour and above, just because there's kind of that gray area that a lot of people look at, and only 2% of our motoring public was in violation of 6 miles an hour or above. So I think that that speaks volumes to our residents and the safety of their neighborhoods, because again, most of these are neighborhood contacts. Mr. Head had referenced that there was one that showed 65 miles an hour. We did, as best we could, take a look at responding emergency vehicles to those analysis, and we believe that that one may have been a Galahad Road law enforcement response to an active scene, but we weren't able to confirm that, so I can't tell you for sure if that was an emergency vehicle or not.
Me and my scooter.
Could have been Trustee Rhodey and his scooter.
My scooter.
I can't confirm nor deny that. But I would like to also compliment trustee Rhodey on his mustache as well. You were talking about the Movember and his posting on his Facebook page about him coming to the
It's
meeting
awareness,
tonight,
for your
looking like
awareness.
Chief Marty Jensen and I was one of the references that he used, so.
Sounds like he wants to work for both of you, though, that I saw. the
That
same
won't happen.
post.
Part-time. It sounds like a bromance to me, personally.
Conflict of
Thus ends my
interest.
comments.
You can go to Hudson and work down there, I guess, but not here. Okay, thank you very much for that update. Thank you, George, for bringing that up to the public's attention. Let's see. Oh, the one thing I was corrected, back in the working budget line items for the transfer garage door opener, we discussed that in finance, and it's just an update that we've had some issues with. Like, Mark, I guess you could explain it better what we've got going on down there for the garage door opener at Public Works Garage.
Basically, our side of the cold storage building that's up there, half of it's public works, half of it's police department. There's both sides have 12 and 12 garage doors. And then they also, they were wired for garage door openers, both sides were, with no garage door openers installed. We're just asking them to take money from our, what's left in our tool budget, move over to get a garage door once there are to work. So that's what we're doing.
And by our policy, he can do that as long as we, and with my approval, as long as we let the board be aware of it, make the board aware of it, and that's why there's no motion required.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ted, Public Welfare?
No further update other than what we've already discussed on the animal warden contract and the pending impoundment contract.
Thank you. Colleen, Park Board.
Not too much. We are planning on having the skating rink again this year. However, Terry Felland, who has done a great job flooding it the past several years, is not interested in doing that anymore. Public Works will help do it, but if there is any residents who would be interested in assisting flooding the rink, let Mark know. Terry says it takes an hour or so to flood it, so it's not a big time commitment, and it's most appreciated by our residents because they've enjoyed skating on it.
George, you're retired, aren't you?
Yeah. Your point?
I appoint George.
Probably like a lot of retirees gonna go south, you never know. No ice. Okay.
That's all.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to convene into closed session per section 19.85, parent 1, parent C, to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding employee memorandum of understanding, MOU, for comp time.
You probably want to do those
B,
together,
too,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
why don't you say and?
And convene into closed session per section 19.85, parent 1, parent C, to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employees over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding employee evaluations or wages.
Second.
Thank you. And we are now in.
No, you need a roll call vote.
Oh, roll call vote. I think it's George's turn.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Okay, we are now in closed section.
Daryl, what we got a second? For the
At
secret